Hey, welcome back to the Psychic Soul Healer channel. I'm sorry if you were on a second ago, but I had to delete that because I was having internet issues. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is a shadow healing channel, which means I look at the inner child wounds, I look at the shadow wounds, and I look to see how those wounds are playing out as karmic experiences within your relationship, within your work. What's blocking you from manifesting? Now, I do Zodiac, but when it's live stream lately, I've been doing whoever that lands on this video. I usually tend to believe that because energy works like a magnet, anyone that lands on this video and listens to it was meant to hear the message. Even when we have an intention for a certain zodiac to hear the message, especially with these type readings, because they're soul readings, right? We're energy and we're magnets, like I said. So we get what we need, not necessarily what we want. So when we're talking about the shadow, like I said, so I'm going to look and see how, again, your shadows are playing out karmically within your relationship and what you need to do to heal. Because every situation, there's many different realities that play out at one time. Depending on your level of consciousness, when we're able to quantum jump into the reality that we want, it means that we're able to integrate the spiritual lesson because we see what we need to do. So again, a spiritual block creates spiritual loops, which is, oh, here we go again, the same type of karmic experience that keeps me stuck in limitation. A lot of times with soul relationships, this happens. And that's why I want to help, again, whoever that lands on this, because you may say, well, I'm in this relationship with this person that every time I feel like it's going well, they tend to sabotage it, or I tend to sabotage it, or it just doesn't go the way that it's supposed to. We tend to trigger each other, though we love each other. Why does that happen? Soul relationships are complicated relationships because there's a deep, profound connection, but then also the person triggers us, makes me have to feel uncomfortably. And so when we haven't integrated the wound just tends to take over. Sometimes it's what is the downfall of the relationship when really it should have just been a spiritual lesson. Lessons are supposed to help us grow. But when we can't see a different perception, you want to rip that person's head off. You can't help it. It's just what happens when you have a spiritual trigger and because you have a block. It's like stubbing your toe in the same exact spot on the same exact coffee table. So like I said, I am going to look and see what your person's going to do. But when we're looking at shadows, sometimes we're like, I want to know why the fuck they did what they did. Not necessarily whether they love me, whether they have feelings. I know that they do. I can feel that they do. But why does it look like that? Or why, when I have a connection with someone, and I know that they know that we have the connection, why don't they handle it in what I perceive the right way? And the right way would just be open, loving, caring. Like a lot of times people that are spiritual blocked, they're closed. They have their heart chakra is closed. They don't trust. And over time, that causes actual heart problems, real heart problems. All right, so let's just see what's going on. I know I need to release attachments with karmic people. I'm creating a plan to leave him or her. So I feel like, again, there's somebody you're connected to somebody that's with somebody else. Codependency, or we see it, as like I said, karmic people are ones that teach us and that we're stuck and we need to make a plan to get away. It means we don't feel comfortable to just leave. Like again, so codependency, which a lot of times means emotionally not available. especially if there was someone else, then they're not giving to either one. Remember, we're looking at the wounds, we're looking at the shadows. We need to wait for divine timing. Time is healing our wounds and creating the perfect condition for our reunion. This is what this person feels. This person actually feels. Now, I'm not saying that it's not right. I do feel when I tap into your person, they are connected to someone else. They're connected to an entire life that they don't really want to live. And that happens a lot of times when we let our family tell us who we are, when we have perceptions without really knowing. I mean, grounding means that we embody the experience. A lot of people have ideas and they in their head, but they're not grounded, so they don't really know. So codependency tends to do that. We tend to look at something or someone and see that they have something that we don't have, or we perceive it, but it's really we're just blocked in the area that we perceive that that person has. So again, soul relationships come into our lives to teach us, to expand consciousness, because we're down here to learn we're not separate from unconditional love. The wounds mean that we experience pain. We've detached, and you can't just get rid of negative energy. You have to integrate it. Alchemy teaches us that. So that's important because it means that this person is supposed to be in your life. That's why there's a strong spiritual connection where this person like feels like they psychically know what's going to happen, and I feel like they need to kind of psych themselves out. So if they're not talking to you, they're not because they don't want to hear anything else. They're being really laser focused. And when you're trying to manifest something, that's how you do it, right? All right. I'm trying to figure out this connection. I've never experienced anything like it before. And this is what I was saying, soul's connection. It's one that transcends time and space. It's one of unconditional love. I believe that your person tended to deal with surface relationships. You know, I was attracted. It might have been based on sex, but with you, it's deeper. And it's scary because, again, codependency, where the person doesn't, but like, again, I feel like doesn't really know who they are 100%. And I say that because there's a sense where they're attached to people that really aren't supposed to be in their life, and they don't really know how to set boundaries. When we know who we are and what we want to do with our life, or the direction, or have some sort of idea, even in our mind, then we're able to set boundaries, because where we want to go, there's a passion, right? So the thing is, your person doesn't know who they are. So, but they tend to get into these karmic relationships because they're not embodied in the relationship. They are attracted to them, and there's an energy, but what happens is if there's no ground in a relationship, there's no intimacy. Relationships are something that happen over time. Trust. So this karmic relationship, that they can feel that you're supposed to be in their life, but they don't know why, because they've never experienced a spiritual relationship before. You're kind of, again, I feel like you're like, I kind of know what a spiritual relationship is. However, I don't know why I'm getting triggered. I don't understand why, if this person's supposed to be so deep and profound to me, why am I getting triggered? So we can see that why this is important, because is a person supposed to be in your life? Yes. Karmic doesn't mean bad. We associate with bad many times because, again, the saying. However, karmic means learned. So there is an opportunity to heal a wound that you have, which again is the shadow. So there are subconscious fears affecting our ability to attract love and abundance. So the wound is, again, you both have a block to love and abundance. The universe is helping us make them conscious so we can easily attract what we want, including each other. So understand This soul connection is extremely strong, and it transcends time and space because it's a past life karmic relationship. And the universe has conspired this. And on some level, both you and this person know. Now, do you know how it's going to play out? Not exactly, and neither does this person, but you both know that you're both important in each other's life, possibly because you both tried to walk away from the connection and couldn't. And that happens because remember, unconditional love, there's no ownership or expectation. We can't, it's the only energy that we can't break, the only energy that can't be manipulated. So we're being taught unconditional love because this is a karmic past life. And so there are deep wounds, which means shadows, which are parts of self that we've rejected and dissociated from, meaning I don't like that aspect of myself. And this person actually triggers me, but I also see that they have gifts that I don't have. So again, this is a very important connection. And it's an important connection because it's spiritually. Now, everything that happens in the physical realm manifests because of what's going on spiritually, which is psychologically and emotionally. The shadow parts of self are the parts of self, again, that you've detached from the parts that you've rejected. So what's saying is those wounds have affected both you and this person, where you have wounds in love and money, because it says abundance. So when healing those wounds within yourself, your relationship actually becomes not only becomes where you'll be together, but actually gets so much stronger because you're stronger within yourself. Because a lot of times the triggers come from the fact that we have wounds. And so the trigger is we project. So let's see how that person projected. Let's see how the story played out. And I like to do this because, like I said, you want to know why a person does certain things, especially if you want the relationship to evolve. Otherwise, you're going to keep triggering each other. You're never going to know how to handle the relationship. When it's a spiritual issue, you have to handle it spiritually. That's in the mind, psychologically. Because again, your psychological and your emotional is ESP, transcends time and space, connection. It's that deep knowing. It's claircognizance, clairsentience. It's like, I don't know how I know that. I just know. Well, that's what soul relationships are. So again, there's no explanation here. Both parties know that there is a realization, and that is good because, like I said, then it means that we're supposed to see how it plays out. But a lot of times it's ugly. I'm not gonna lie, because the person has wounds. You have wounds. So let's see what their wounds are. And then we'll look at their hidden truths, because a person's wounds is not their hidden truth. A wound will create a reaction. So the person might say something that you're like, why would you say something that's so offensive and so mean? Why would you act like you don't care? Why would you act? Because the person has a psychological reversal. It's where they get in their own way. And this sabotaging behaviorism that's created from being wounded and not healing it. So the person will project. And it's like seeing through distorted perceptions about yourself and who you're dealing with when you have to heal. So the person has baggage. That's what it's going to mean. So brace yourself. But we will look at the hidden truths because we'll balance out the energy. Trumps of lies. Like you're like, I don't even think I know who this person is because they lied a lot. Now, lied about who they are. So that tells me not letting you get close, a person that doesn't like who they are. Now remember, you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. So you have to also ask yourself, why is this person in my life? Now, you're saying, well, I'm not a liar. Like, well, you might have trust issues. Again, where trust means you have to trust yourself, or you might only show certain aspects of yourself where this person thinks that you're too good for them. But it's again, they're coming from a place of lack, low self-esteem. The people that lie about who they are and other things are lying because they're shame. So that's where the wound comes from. Now, it doesn't mean you caused it, but like I said, that's what's distorting their lens. Fragmentation. So again, there's also detachment. And that happens when we've gone through a very traumatic experience that we don't remember. Because shamans, what they do is they go and find pieces of lost soul. Well, it's no one's soul is really lost. Just like no one's soul is, detached. We dissociate from our feelings because of trauma. And psychological trauma, emotional trauma will make a person disassociate over time. It's just what happens because it doesn't feel good to be in the body. So it means that this person is living more from, again, not really the present moment either, because the more fragmented that you are, again, parts of detachment, the more not present. So again, and if they're coming from a place of shame and they never heal that, they'll bleed all over. Gilded with regret. So that regret could just be from always having to lie and not being able to get close. Now, a lot of times people's shadows people wear masks. And that mask could be for a number of reasons. Like when people think that they're being funny and they're not really being funny. People that think that they're being cool, but they're not. People that just overcompensate in their behaviorisms because they don't really have a real sense of self. That's what happens when people don't like who they are and they detach from themselves. So we see that a lot of their wounds will, again, have nothing to do with you. However, the lying part. So we're going to look and see what their hidden truths are. Because just because a person has wounds doesn't mean that, they really mean to be an asshole. They just have wounds, right? Wounds are sabotaging blocks. They're behaviorisms that block us from moving forward. I love spending time with you, enjoying each other, and the simple and cozy pleasures of life. So again, your person may be reminiscing of those times with you, and that's why they are full of regret. You like the hidden truths? So understand, wounds, like I said, do play out, and they play out within our experiences as karmic experiences. Their hidden truths is, I wish I could share my good news with you. Again, telling me that there's separation. But the person that has intimacy problems, that is afraid to get close, is also not going to be as open. So they're going to try and leave things out. They're going to come across very strategic. Again, coming from a survival reptilian mind, which is a survival mind coming from a place of fear. I love you. And so understand, when a person does have wounds, even though they love, they will be triggered. The more that a person has fear of abandonment, and because this person has shame, This is why I feel like they kept getting in their own way, because we're looking at the shadows. We're looking and seeing how they karmically play out within your experience. Just being near you is intoxicating. I believe that when we have wounds and we are really attracted to our soulmate, it's because we're supposed to heal certain wounds. So the passion that we have is what transmutes wounds, because passion represents fire, and fire is the element of alchemy. Alchemy transmutes the only energy that transmutes pain into power. Really, it's the only energy. So we wouldn't stick around long enough if we weren't passionate about the person, especially if the person is triggering the shit out of us. And a person that's walking around with shame and they don't heal it, it will affect the relationship as intimacy problems. And this is why your person lies. So it helps us to be able to deal with the person. It was my fault, but I blamed you. A lot of projection they're realizing. Also, they were going to have to surrender their ego, right? So a lot of times when we have wounds, we wear a mask. We're not conscious that we do this, but also what also winds up happening is we are just reactive in where we get triggered and then we just project it back. I feel like this is what happens with your person because they haven't healed certain baggage. So it keeps replaying over and over and over within their relationship. So they're really afraid to get close. See, that's what happens when you don't heal from past karmic relationships. You bring your baggage into the next relationship. So even though this person loves you, they realize that they lied a lot and they showed you certain aspects of themselves and almost like where they back themselves into a corner. I'm going to pull like one more. I replay our conversations over and over again. So again, talking about like a person, like you said, when they have to surrender their ego, it means that they've walked away on some level. They have a big ego. They're going to project. That's the person admitted that, but that was because, again, they're afraid to be vulnerable. So that happens when we were shamed. A lot of times when we were made not to feel comfortable in our own skin just from issues, and those issues could have been family, inheriting family karma. Like you grew up in an alcoholic family and you grew up and you experienced those type of experiences. They're talking about deep-seated wounds and what causes shame. But you have to see how does it come out in a person's behaviorisms, because those are going to be the deep wounds. Because this is saying, okay, this explains their wounds. This explains like their hidden truths. But what did they do? And this is self-righteous. So again, somebody that has a big ego, that's wearing a mask. Like I said, I don't want to look at your opinion. I only care about my opinion. So on some level, they've gotten away with that. Constraint. So giving up your power, too many rules. So it's again, I feel like someone has control over them. It's a karmic relationship, as it said in the beginning, that your person is connected to someone. And so they give up too much power, but they feel a strong spiritual connection to you. So in the fact that they would want to be with you, they want you to give up your power, because again, they lie about who they are. They act like they're strong. They act like they're self-righteous, but they're really weak. And they're weak because they're connected. I feel like your person is connected to karmic people. And so they have to become their own person. And in that, that heal certain things that are subconsciously blocking them. Now you say, well, what does that have to do with me? Why am I stuck with someone? Well, again, soulmates come into each other's life to not just heal, but they're the mirror. So I feel like this person has gifts where you don't have gifts, and vice versa. You're the mirror. And trigger, again, soul relationships, past life karmic relationships. So it means you have to learn and do. And if you weren't really passionate, you wouldn't do this, because this person is, like I said, knows that it's a deep connection. So that, and knows that they can have a good life either way, is what I'm feeling. But they know that being with you would be really like fabulous, because they feel that past life connection. They can't explain it. It's like not just a surface relationship. And again, because they've tried to walk away and they've tried to like end it, and they can't. But we understand why. They can't really be in this connection without breaking away from all their, toxic connections, karmic connections. And sometimes, even if a relationship's karmic, we have a lot of different emotions attached to that person, because we've grown with that person. We've gone through many experiences with that person. It's usually very codependent, where one person gave a lot emotionally, the other person didn't really give emotionally, but in some level it balanced out. They gave other way. Codependency is that. And so angry, ruled by your emotions, lashing out at others, heal the pain inside of you. So again, I feel like it is affecting, like, when we're not our true self, we're going to be angry, because we're always overcompensating in what we feel to please other people. So I do believe your person is very angry and needs to heal. Now you need to ask yourself, are you angry? Because like goes to liking, you need to look at the energy, and you might say, well, I always attract people that are not available to me. But to understand this person is doing the healing. And you say, so I don't understand, this person's my soulmate, but are they going to be in my life or not? Well, understand, it says here, your person knows that they want to be in your life. They don't know how. They need to break away from those karmic connections. They're figuring it out. However, there's such a deep desire, and they realize that they don't want to. There's a real sense that you're supposed to be in their life, that there's such a profound connection. And that's really the catalyst for them to do their own healing. And it's also this separation is the catalyst for you to do your healing, is what this is saying, because past life karmic mates come into each other's life to teach. And depending on how you deal with the situation, it just means learn. We associate karmic with pain, but not all the time is it pain. We just can see a different outcome. Again, many different realities play out at one time. Depending on what you do is going to be your outcome. So you would know that you would need to, again, heal that. This person, again, is going to be ruled by their anger even more if they don't leave, because that's what happens when we suppress. It's like we're trying to control. So I feel like your person being connected to people that they don't really want to be connected to, they are very passive aggressive. They are very angry because they're not allowed to be themselves. The soul needs to do that. Dramatic, over-the-top behavior, creating drama for control. So I feel like the people that they're connected to create a lot of drama, so that they're sensitive. So, and they're used to that. And there's a part of them that doesn't know whether you're going to be that way, because they never let you get that close. So they're like judging a lot of what they think that you'll be based on who they've dated before. And that's what happens when a person has intimacy issues. And this is a very strong connection in the spiritual realm, but it hasn't been grounded. So without integrating spiritual issues, so right now we're seeing that your person like has a lot of blocks, and so it doesn't mean that they don't care. But let's look and see what your blocks are. What are your inner child wounds? Because you have to say, why am I attracting this person that is that is connected to someone else, but doesn't want to be with that person, but and not just, is it just for my healing? Well, then what is my healing? What is my, and we have to look at the inner child wounds for that, which we're going to do right now. So sometimes it could be joy, and you'd be like, joy, a wound. Well, sometimes it's the joy that you bring into somebody else's life that they realize. But I also think it's to learn what is, to make you look and see what is joyous to you. A relationship's supposed to be joyous. But let's see what it is. Okay, wonder, like wonder. So again, I think looking deep to see like what it is that you really truly want within a partner. To wonder is, I wonder what it would be like to be in the type of relationship that I want. What type of life do I want to live? Don't even ask what partner, because your partner should fit into the life that you have created for yourself, that you enjoy. So have you taken the time to imagine what your life could be, just being happy, being single, so you can become the vibration of love, so you can attract love? Maybe you weren't allowed to wonder. See, in the Bible it says, be like childlike, because children, they explore, they wonder what everything is. That's why they ask 1,000 questions and they talk your ear off and they experience everything. You have to keep an eye on them because they're curious. There's a wonder. It says that because when we experience, we're embodying something, so we really know it. And in that, you really get to know yourself, so you'll know exactly like the type of person. So you, again, may say, why did I attract this person? Well, there's a strong spiritual connection, but it's in the 3D. So are you grounded? Are you letting this person give the breadcrumbs? And were you holding on? So was this relationship more in the 3D for you too? Because you need to say, well, why? Yeah, it was, but why do I do that? Well, then, because you have intimacy issues. See, we have to heal intimacy issues by getting to know who we are. Really get to know, to explore. A lot of times when our second chakra is blocked, that's our individuality, our center, our birthing center, our passion center, our relationship center, our emotion center. So being able to go with the flow of life comes in the fact that there is a passion for life. So if we're trying to connect to a relationship, but we keep getting a person that's emotionally not available, because that's what it is when a person's connected to other people. Because we're looking at your shadow and we're saying, well, why is this person here? Like in my life. It's like, why in my life? It's like, because they're not really, if anything, they're creating like me to be angry. And it's because they don't give enough. And it's like, but I know that they have feelings. So I get a lot of mixed messages. They give a lot of mixed messages. So there's a sense that they don't know who they are. Now, if I'm a magnet of who and what comes into my life, are you telling me that I'm that person? No, what it's saying is you don't know yourself well enough. So you may think that you like that person, but you don't like that person. Your shadows are dictating who you like instead of you like really knowing who you are. So there's an imbalance. That's what it's saying. So this one almost jumped out. Let's look at that. It was again optimism. So again, having too much optimism. Sometimes again the rose-colored glasses, right? So you may say, well, these are not negative traits. These are not shadow. Shadow is it, but these are inner child cards. So inner child is again sometimes we grew up very sheltered, Or maybe we lived in our own world and we tend to, or if we're an empath, we tend to feel the connection and just see the good, especially in people that we have feelings for. So you say, well, what's the wound and how does it continue to play out within my life? Well, if you don't know yourself well enough and then you're just too optimist, then you're going to give too much of yourself. And that's the problem. There's not enough balance in the relationship, meaning you're giving too much energy. You may say, I don't really give that much. Person can feel, if it's a soulmate, they can feel energetically when you're connected to. Person that a lot of times when we're in a karmic connection, we actually have to cut off that energy. And that's your choice of focus. Your choice of focus is your greatest tool to train a person in the psychic realm that you're like spiritually connected to, but you're in have that like where the person is connected to other people, or they are avoidant of being in the relationship, because love always wins. We can't control unconditional love. So, and really the spirit always wants to go back to that place of unconditional love. We're designed for that, to become it, to give and receive it, to connect to people through it. It's the shadow parts of ourselves that make us feel like we can't. So your shadow would be, well, I feel like there's something wrong with me because I just see the good in people and then it just never turns out. So I treat people the way I want to be treated. But if you don't know enough of who you are, then most likely you're expecting too much from this person to fulfill you passionately, where passion needs to come through many different vehicles to create balance in your life. How are you going to have ammunition to fight passion with passion? You wouldn't be able to. It's like your choice of focus would always go towards, well, I'm connected to that person. I like that person. It's like we have that type of connection. It's just like when it's great, it's great. And when it's horrible, Or I always feel like there's a tug of war. And spiritual connections are going to be like that because you're being taught unconditional love. Like you can't break it. You can't control it. And that you have that in you, they have that in them. That's what this is saying. It's like, okay, we recognize that. If we get this right, it can be the best type of relationship. But what's the problem? Well, your person gets in their own way. They don't like who they are. They're connected to other people. And they've realized that they don't like their life because the other people that they're connected to has created most of their life. But they still need to break away. And we have to say, well, why are they connected? Well, inner child wounds of shame. So this person might have got somebody pregnant. They may be bound to somebody because of children, because of, again, religion. You don't divorce. It could be family. It's guilt and shame. So, which is the shadow. And they are angry. But love transmutes that. So let's look and see, like I said, what you're supposed to do in order to heal it. Because eventually, if you both surrender, because that's really what it is, you have to say, well, with a wound, this person's making their way back to you. And if it's a soulmate, you're not going to be able to control it. Like, so you're just going to, again, soulmate, twin flame, we may say, no, I'm not going to do it. It's like, you won't do it, but then you'll give in, and then there'll be a little restriction, and then whatever. It's like, but you can't control it. It's like, you'll want to fulfill the relationship on some level, even if it was just friendship. You'd want that person in your life. Again, it's a profound relationship. So, but we say, what can we do to make that relationship work so that it doesn't go back into a karmic loop? So we're going to look, and I'm going to pull a card from the Psychic Soul Healer, and one from the Wound deck, and one from the Healing Energy Oracle. So synergy. So synergy is like when you're able to like tap into like your intuition, but also like the energies that a person's giving off the universe as well. It's that when you're in the flow of the universe and you're actually, like I said, can intuitively be led, meaning you can tap into your person and feel when they're off and vice versa. See, it takes us a while to be able to find your flow in a relationship. It just does. And it's because everyone comes in nervous, especially when there's wounds, because the wounds have nothing to do with the other person. They have to do with ourselves. But we like that person. That person is associated with love. So our nervous system gets, over responsive because of, again, the wound activates like uh, feelings and emotions of self, of, every single experience that we went through having to do with a relationship a lot of times. And trying to think too much creates a lot of emotions, which creates that freeze. So we tend to get in our own way. So instead of trying to tap in so much logically, what this is saying is tap in energetically when you're a psychic, when you're an empath, when you're a sensitive. What, like again, it can read energy. Well, it's to pay attention to the flow. Sometimes if the person isn't able to communicate that well, and if a person has a lot of wounds like this, they are not going to be able to communicate because they have blocks in the second chakra and the third chakra because they're trying to leave. Remember, they have to set those boundaries. That's the third chakra. But they also have to be able to speak their truth, right? Everybody needs to be able to ask for what they need and set appropriate boundaries. Know that this person has blocks all throughout the same way that you may. So when you are like be able to read energy, you're able to pick up on cues when a person doesn't want to speak, when don't want to be around, when they want to be left alone. To be able to find your rhythm is to be able to tap into that energy, the spirit's saying, because in the beginning, it's, remember, you have a very strong spiritual connection, more than you have a strong, like grounded physical connection, because this person hasn't set the connection enough with you. And I know that because they lied about who they are. So they're that want to fix that, but they don't still won't know who they are when they come back. So that's part of it. They're figuring it out. And you're saying, well, why am I attracting that? Well, because spirit says that you need to do the same thing, figure it out also who you are. And in that, unconditional love teaches us that there is no time and space. So you may like be with this person and then go off and experience not other people, but do other things and not spend as much time, and then go back and have that type of relationship. If there was deep-seated wounds and needing to learn about unconditional love and trust and balance. So this is being true. Like, again, like what it's saying, again, how to deal with this type of situation. Like, I love this person, but this person is wounded. If I'm supposed to be in their life, why? And what am I supposed to do about it? So it goes back to the same thing, which is being true. I am true to myself and others. I remove my mask and stop creating illusions. I have confidence in who I am. I reveal the good in me. I do not need to hide and prove anything. I replace shame, which again was the wound, remember, with the power of love and truth. So, like I said, the person has wounds of shame. And so they lied about who they are, but they're connected to people karmically that they don't really want to be connected to. They don't even want that life. But a long time ago, they really should have left, but they didn't have the confidence. This connection really has inspired them to want to do it. but they still need to figure out their process in doing it. So they're still in the mode of trying to figure it out, but they're trying to make their way back. Let me say again, why did I attract this person? Because Spirit's saying you're a magnet of who and what comes into your life. They don't 100% know who they are. You don't know 100% who you are. And in that, you both don't exactly know who each other are either, because this person hasn't given you enough time and energy. So you have to say, would you be bound to a person that wasn't capable of emotionally giving you if you're sitting there waiting? No. What it means is you were supposed to do your healing again, not wait for this person, because if you decide to meet other people, but what this is saying is it won't matter. This is a divine connection. That divine timing is at hand. So you may try and be with other people, but in the time that it's supposed to happen, this person's going to come to you. You may say, well, then I might not be with them. Now, we always have free will, but what this is saying, if this is a real twin flame soulmate, you won't be able to control it. Because again, unconditional love, we can't control. But the reason why is because the divine connection is because Spirit's saying, there's parts of you that are blocked, that are preventing you from receiving abundance and love, and this person too. So again, there's deep-seated wounds of shame. And what happens then when we have that, we can't manifest. So this is why this person's come into your life. So first and foremost, be true to yourself, because the kingdom of heaven's inside of you, the kingdom of God's inside of you, which if you can imagine it, you can create it. You have supernatural powers. That means it means that, like I said, whatever you want. So be true to yourself, and then it won't matter what this person does. If you give this person, because this person is coming into your life and they don't really know who they are, they're leaving people, but they haven't figured it out. They imagine what life would be with you because of the soul connection, but that's not real. That's not grounded. So again, we can't abandon ourselves and go back into a codependent relationship. This person gets into codependent relationships. That would, again, leave you emotionally depleted and not really living your best life. So it's Spirit saying you have to get the wonder. Again, the wonder about your life, wonder about what you want to do. Again, get inspired, be curious, create more of your life. Then this way, that and being true to yourself, then what'll happen is you and this person will find your balance, because love is there. It's not the fact that it's not. And that is, if you want this relationship to work out, remember, this is a general message. Every single person's different. However, if it's a soulmate twin flame, a lot of times we really can't resist the relationship. So we have to say, well, am I just doomed? No, there's many different realities that play out at one time. Your level of consciousness is knowing what you're dealing with in order to transmute that negative energy, to quantum jump into the reality that you want. You say, I like this person. Well, know that they need to create themselves, because the energy that people hold of shame, you just can't get rid of shame. What you have to transmute it. You can't just get rid of negative energy. You have to change it. And the reason why is because shame is not your identity. If you don't fill it with something of what your identity is and have wonder of who it is, that it stays there instead of what your passion is. So we could have grown up in an alcoholic family. We could have been brought up in an abusive home, or for many different reasons, okay, that have taught us that. But it doesn't matter. We have to, again, be able to transmute that energy in order to create new. Otherwise, we keep reliving the same experiences, and that energy is, we're not supposed to become that, well, that's my identity. I grew up in an alcoholic home, so I was never able. We know people that get stuck in, they're stuck in what happened to them. Unfortunately, We're all born into karmic experiences, karmic families that play out as karmic experiences that make us play certain roles and make us feel a certain way. We have the power to transcend that, to change it. But we have to, again, know what we're dealing with and know how to change it on the spiritual realm first. And it's definitely to transmute any energies of shame. And it's always by creating a new self. This is what it's saying. And what you're learning is that the separation, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And all that doesn't matter. Unconditional love, on some level, you and your person were taught that you weren't deserving of love or that you were bad. You were shamed. So you were unlovable. So that is why the universe has brought this person to you so that you and your person can transmute those deep seated wounds to unblock the wounds that prevent abundance and love into your life. I'm going to leave it there. If you resonated with this, give me a like, comment, and listen, you can comment the words, the gift of style in your comment bar. Again, if you want to win a free reading with me, again, the gift of style. Until then, be true to you. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.